In our meeting, the first item, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additions or changes to the agenda? I have one, which is we'll put it under 8A, which is the authorization to sign the contract with the Syracuse Orchestra for their concert that they're going to do here. Two are meeting minutes from May 11th.
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Our abstract dated today, number 22. Aaron has that.
There's actually in the amount of $202,674.98. We have the insurance, like the liability renewal, as well as the health insurance for the month. So second.
Was it seconded? They've been audited. In favor?
I did.
Nice. Okay. Fire department. Oh, my, he'll start.
Do you have anything? I didn't give you any application. There's no applications.
No,
Hardship waiver. Have a new part-time employee. EMT David Brooks, we'd like to hire on at the normal part-time rate.
Oh, and is he firefighter and EMT?
He's a volunteer fireman, but he's a full-time EMS provider with AMR.
it's on the EMT side.
EMT only.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Great.
And then I know we talked about it, or I might have talked to you about it. Brian Whalen is going out on surgery for 2 months. He's having something done in here that's not good. As in what we've done in the past, the union has agreed to stockpile, give some time so that he gets a paycheck while he's out. So I've gotten letters from everybody that's going to submit. I've got all the shifts covered. So I just want to make sure that we're good as a board saying can remove the time for people to make sure he gets this time to cover why he's out for 2 months.
How much time are they donating?
288 hours,
Okay,
8 weeks.
okay with me. That's a ton.
Good luck to him.
It'd be
People have stepped up in different ways. If you-
Yeah, and he's nervous. He doesn't know if he'll make it through it. I mean, it's a serious operation. Got to go to Cleveland. And
Okay,
he's going to be there for a couple weeks
okay.
before he can even drive home, before he can come home. So they're going to have some challenges ahead of them.
Is this something that has to do with his small intestine? My daughter just went through major surgery, so maybe we could talk afterwards. I have nothing but really positive things.
She go out there.
No, she did it here. We interviewed out there.
He couldn't get anybody here to do it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So supposedly they take it out, send it out, cleanse it, do something to it, and then it comes back and they put it back in with all of his other stuff.
No, they didn't do that. It didn't take it out, but they had to. We're beyond.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're good.
I get it. But it's really,
Disconnect and reconnect, things like that.
so the guys all stepped up pretty big, and even some that only had 8 hours or 12 hours. We're a pretty young agency right now, so it's pretty nice that they all did that. So
So can we just have a motion to accept all the
So-
donated time?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
and me and Karen have talked. We still have a challenge with how we're gonna handle that with the new payroll company, but we'll figure it out. And then the last thing is the roof. So we got favorable roof bids back. Very favorable roof bids.
Go home.
The cold got to it today.
Did he bark or were we talking about the roof? You know what I mean?
So sorry.
Yep. So Sean Ferran is gonna sit with me tomorrow and interview low bid and make sure that low bid is accurate.
Yeah.
Meets the intent.
Good.
He signed off that he did. So in theory.
Yeah.
This is his to not do, but it was $57,000.
He came in at 57?
Yeah. And his only add-on, like everybody else's, is plywood.
Wow.
So it's very favorable for us in this. We're gonna look at it, make sure he commits to everything. And he's a guy out of Utica. Karen has all the bids. It was 57, 83, 145, 153 or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're all very good bids compared to where we were last time.
Yes.
And we still would have saved money even if we went with high bid compared to what we were thinking. So this is that much better.
And you can wait till our next meeting to approve those bids?
Yeah,
Or
ex-
do you wanna do something sooner?
I think that's up to you. I
I'd like you to have that interview first.
Yeah.
No, I would rather do it that way, but I'm just making sure that we have time to do it that way, that for on your side, that's.
I'm pretty if he tells me, hey, listen, we've got to act quick or whatever, then that's a different discussion. But I can't see that happening, and we really have to wait till we get the DASNY number. So one of the last things I had to do got signed, so I think we're gonna get that DASNY number soon.
Okay,
So I think it's better that we do take that 2-week pause and make sure we got the number before we do anything.
that's fine. If you need something before 2 weeks, then I
Yeah.
prefer to have like a special meeting to approve something like that, because it's a bigger type of thing.
Yep, and I mean,
Rather than-
I may need to, if this guy doesn't work out, I may need to schedule something with the next bidder and.
Right, that's why I wanna make sure, like, we don't approve something that you're not really ready
Yeah.
to do, but I
Nope.
don't wanna hold you up from doing it if we.
I think we got a lot
Do
of,
something different, so you can let us know if there's something changing from 2 weeks from now, you can let us know and we'll make an appropriate decision on our board to meet at this.
I think
convenient
we got time.
Do what we have to do.
I think we got time. That's it, right? We don't have anything else there?
I don't have anything else. That's your
Okay.
biggest thing.
I think that's everything for me.
DPW, Tyler's not here, but he sent his memo, so, he wants to contract with Seneca Stone Corp through county contract to do the paving of North and South Streets, and they want to be able to start doing that sooner rather than later, so he's looking for
You get a copy of the quote.
only what he's got on here.
Okay.
74,255. And does that include the other, that it also includes, does that quote include Clinton Street?
It's on the quote, it does conclude Clinton, part of South Street, North Street.
Okay,
Um,
so the total for those three is the 74,255, correct?
exactly.
Okay, so here's the explanation. North and South Street are worthy of, if that's the right word, CHIPS reimbursement. They're old enough and can do that. Clinton Street, he has asked for a waiver because of the construction and the destruction of the road to have a waiver for the CHIPS reimbursables. That's been submitted to whoever that has to go to involving CHIPS. They have not gotten a response that they will get that waiver one way or the other. So if the waiver comes back, well, these people are here paving, then they're gonna pave that area also for the 74,255. If that waiver doesn't come back in time for this particular company to do the paving right now, he has negotiated with the town highway department to pave that section with us, like we do in other areas, because it's a small section. The section on Clinton Street that he's talking about is approximately from the Washington Street intersection down to past where those, the newly developed houses are, condos, townhouses, whatever they call them, specifically on the north side of the street.
Eliminate the speed bumps.
So that's a discussion that we had before, that would eliminate that speed bump, not, the paving isn't gonna go down farther to where the other speed bump is.
So it just stops like at the last driveway for the,
Yeah, probably
Or the
somewhere
back
near that curve
course.
or whatever. It would go past both driveways of the stack,
Yes.
and I don't know if they still call it stacks, but the animal hospital that's there.
So
still
we're,
called stacks.
Okay,
so Washington Street ends and Clinton starts.
well, Washington Street runs into Clinton Street.
Okay,
Washington Street comes out in front of the old
right,
Culligan.
okay, so we got Mill. Then Clinton. It comes into Washington. What bridge? The bridge right
Not the
there?
bridge, no.
It says he said,
Bridge deck where the water goes under
Right.
Clinton there.
Yeah.
So it's from that,
Oh, from where the Ledyard Canal goes
Yeah,
through.
yeah, that's a bridge decking right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's-
What's the money
Right, a
difference
little
if in fact
confusing.
doesn't go through?
And that
Oh,
goes
it's-
over Washington
Yeah.
is called a bridge. Whether you see it as one or not.
And I see that breakdown.
And they have land bridges too.
Okay,
So if they don't do the Clinton Street piece,
It will still get done by the town.
right, but I need to know my dollars, where we're going from dollars, because this is all a CHIPS project otherwise.
Oh,
so we're.
No, that can be chips as long as we get the approval for
Oh.
it. Later on, it can still,
But
even
we
if
need to
the
have the
town,
approval before
even
we
if the
have.
town does it, we
Okay.
can still do it under chips. It's
Gotcha.
not that we have to contract it
So
out.
where those no houses are, there's not gonna be any more road cuts once we do this, right?
Correct.
one more point of clarification. If the waiver does not come through while Seneca is working on this, then they will only do North and South Streets. And we'll wait until the waiver comes through. When that happens, the town will help us out.
Correct. That's my understanding. I'm just figuring out the price. So it looks like it's about $9,500, give or take. As a ballpark number, not,
Yeah, I don't need
You know.
pennies at the moment.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out where it's got to come from to do something.
All right, so a motion to do all of this paving if the waiver comes in and take out the one speed bump. In that motion will be if the waiver doesn't come, that just the north and south street will be done at this time.
So moved.
Or do you want to reword it so it's a little clearer? The north and south street will be paved by Seneca Stone Corp under the county contract. If a waiver, or you want to do a different motion for Glen Street, or you want to do it all?
All I want to know is the $74,255 is specifically to pave and mill or mill and pave, whatever it's called, South Street and North Street and
And Clinton.
Clinton Street.
and Clinton Street. So if the waiver doesn't come through, that's where we're gonna drop it by how much?
By around $9,500. Oh, that's not exact, but that's my
That's fine.
quick math numbers or whatever, give or take. So how about a motion to approve Seneca Stone Corp to pave North and South Street and Clinton Street as proposed for a total of $74,255, as long as all waivers and reimbursables are in place for New York CHIPS funding. That way it's clear and
That's your motion,
that's my motion,
second.
or
I-
somebody's motion. I don't care if
Well,
it's mine.
but I would like to recommend an amendment to that motion that
Okay.
if the waivers are not in place, that Seneca will mill and pave North and South Street.
Those waivers are done, or
I know, I'm just
Okay.
trying to say that we'll still have, Seneca will still mill and pave North and South Street at a cost reduced by, I would give a range, $5,000 to $10,000. Like I want to approve Seneca to do North and South.
all right, so let's do it two motions. It'll make
Okay.
it much easier.
Okay,
So a motion to approve Seneca Stone Corp to do the proposed work according to their proposal for North and South Street. I don't have an exact number because they've put all three together
Yeah.
here. So those two numbers, for the minute, purpose of minutes afterwards, we can get a better number if everybody's comfortable with that. As opposed to trying to figure it out exactly right now, is that okay? So. The motion is on the table now to pave North and South Street, or do what they're proposing to do, North and South Street. That is going to be through CHIPS funding, reimbursable through CHIPS funding at their proposed quoted price. Okay, so I'm gonna make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Danny.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, then does somebody want to make a motion to have Seneca Stone Court mill and pave and do their proposed estimate for Clinton Street if the CHIPS waiver comes back while they are here paving the other two streets.
I'll move that. I'm with you on that one.
And we will put pricing down for each, for that also, in the minutes, but I don't have that for right now. We'll look at making the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Then it's just cleaner.
Does anybody know where Mill Street ends and Clinton Street starts?
Probably right at the
Right at
curve,
the curve?
right at the corner of the curve.
I think right at the speed.
So will it continue around that curve?
No, no. The only thing will be from Washington Street, because they'll just below the Ledger Canal
Was it
coming down.
Yeah.
To,
Street?
and I'm not sure if it's all the way to the curve,
Okay.
but all the way to past those houses.
Mill Street used to go across.
Digging up
Route
stuff.
five.
Yeah.
Well,
Over
but
to
then they put
Limestone.
the bridge in.
Yeah.
And actually Brooklyn Drive was Mill
That's
Street.
a nasty piece of molding.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right,
But then it always just, it just rounded the corner right in Clinton.
right. I think that place on the corner is Mill Street, isn't it? They used to be whatever, behind all those trees now.
Yeah. It's a therapy place.
Yeah.
Active.
I
From
just
the,
don't know what to call it, just don't remember the name. All right,
Busy, whatever.
our clerk, so we asked, our accountant Jim Pompo to, propose budget transfers, for this meeting based upon what we have spent and what our actual budget, versus what we've spent out of these different accounts, because we're getting to the end of our fiscal year in order to begin to balance out everything. He told me in a conversation I had with him that we would probably perhaps have to do more at next meeting, but this meeting,
Cause this is based off of after balance of April books. There are a few accounts that are over budget, for various reasons, and I think I sent you the breakdown. So our contingency account comes in play here to help offset some of these accounts. We might have to do some more adjustments once we get the last month of the fiscal year, May, closed. And then.
Do you
we'll
need
come back
an
with more. So
individual-
that's why I was looking for approval in general to satisfy.
Okay, so you don't need an individual motion per item. You're basically talking about doing general, making the
Correct,
adjustments.
yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
I would say according
I
to
think that's
this,
how it's been done before too, at this, so that this end of the year, there's a number of weeks to get it reconciled.
so I believe for tonight, we could approve these recommended budget transfers as proposed on the sheet of paper as one.
Right, because I've seen this done both directions. That's why I was wondering how.
Is everybody comfortable doing it in one motion to make these budget transfers, or do you
I
want?
just have one little clarifying question.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is the contingency as it is at the moment that we're working with, not the projected contingency.
Right, we're not, this doesn't touch.
I thought that was the answer, but I just,
No, I can appreciate that. No,
Good
good to
question.
clarify.
Yeah.
And
you'll see the very last one is just
First one.
inter-fund transfers, because we had taken money out of the water fund a few years ago and never put it back, so we're just like correcting all the things that need to be corrected at this point.
Oh, it's a Gloriasti. That's cool. Okay.
All right, well, just to clarify, that's the biggest transfer that we have, so I just want to make sure everybody was okay. with it.
Okay.
All right, so you may.
I'll move to make the budget transfers as proposed by our accountant James Pompo. For year ending 5/31/26, as directed on the schedule delivered to us on 5/26/26.
Moved by trustee Matt,
I'll second.
trustee Casey, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Karen, I appreciated how you put this out for us to understand. This was helpful.
No, the Jim did that. I have to give him credit. I was hoping, I wasn't sure it was understandable because he does it backwards from what I would think, from to.
Yeah.
He does it to from. So. Glad it worked.
That was helpful.
Thank you.
All right, our tax warrant.
Yep. So with that, there, is a statement for the mayor to sign with the board's approval, to allow me to collect the taxes,
For the upcoming year, this
for
is.
the upcoming, yep. It begins, you are hereby commanded to receive and collect from the several persons named in the tax roll hereunto annex. The several sums named in the last column thereof, opposite the respective names for the following purposes. Basically for the general fund, being. For all purposes, the total amount of $3,807,856.99. So
Boom.
pass that down.
Second,
Okay, any discussion, all in favor?
I,
Next, we have our ambulance hardship policy, so this is a, we've discussed this in the past, this is a combination of a few different things. And this is not what we give out to people, but basically this is what we do as a village to have a policy in place as to how we consider hardship, requests, of the village. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. I don't know if you have questions about it or thoughts on it or whatever. It kind of is based more fairly in regards to limits as to what incomes we consider and how we consider it, whether people have private insurance or not that will pay. It uses the federal poverty guideline as the start and then increases the amount by 150 or 200%, as you see on here, based upon whether they have insurance or not. Has guidelines for the numbers of people that live in a household, because it might be a single person, it might be a couple, it might be a whole family that suffers a hardship or whatever. It doesn't go beyond 4, but we certainly would probably have very few of those circumstances, and they would have to be maybe dealt with on a one by one individual basis if we had to face that. So again, this is nothing that we've ever publicly advertised that people have the opportunity to do. We have always entertained people's requests if they send in a request looking for something like this. There will be a form that they have to complete to provide the information to be considered for this. And then it's been a while since I wrote this, or we went over this, Karen, but some places it's up to the village clerk to collect all this information and make a determination. Sometimes it goes back to the board. I think we were talking about maybe just doing it all through the clerk's office as opposed to coming to the board.
Right.
And then if they had a problem with the clerk's office making a decision, the board would be like the Board of Appeals, they do a decision, perhaps if that came to that or whatever, but it's all stuff that, probably like their financial information they have to provide and different things like that would probably be better kept in one spot, I feel, rather than
Right. You've already
rather
set the
than having
parameters. It's not like.
having us make decisions or see information about it. And so if it came here, we probably wouldn't be necessarily looking at the actual documents. We'd be taking Karen's word for it anyways, or whoever the clerk is. To do that, we'd have the opportunity to look at it, but if we make a policy and follow it, then it should be okay.
Right, once there's a
So,
policy in place, it outlines the parameters. It's not like they have to evaluate or subject it to what I feel is appropriate or not appropriate. It's already set the parameters. It's yes or no. They qualify or they don't qualify.
one of the things I would look at something like this is making sure that the person's identity is not really released into an open meeting. Because that's not right for them. be in that kind of position.
Right, so this would, if it's done just at the clerk's office, we wouldn't even know about this.
Right,
She could
exactly.
She
But
could
I'm
give us
saying
a
when it comes
report
to
about
us,
it.
I don't want it to
but
be in
yeah.
an open meeting because this really is the, you know,
This
personal kind of thing.
Prevent that because up to now, there's no policy in place, so
Correct.
it has to be a conversation. Now you've established a policy that you approved. So you would not have to bring this to the board on every occasion.
Right.
You've already set
The
the,
problem is if they have
parameters.
difficulty with what was decided by the clerk's office. And then if they wish to appeal it in some manner for it to deal with that.
That's not, we.
but
that's
then
not-
we'd have to take it as a case by case if they even
Right.
got that far.
That's the same kind of thing that we deal with a personnel matter with employees, if you know what I mean. That's the other kind of approach that I look at.
This just kind of takes away some of the ambiguity of situations.
Yes, I
where
understand your-
people, they can tell you one thing, but this just has to be proven.
Right.
The same as if you want, enhanced star, the same if you want senior reduction on your taxes, the same if you want other types of programs that are out there for assistance, HEAP and different types of, public assistance of different sorts. You have to kind of prove where you're at. And that this kind of puts forth some kind of like formula as to how to prove that.
Right.
And then if it just goes to the clerk's office, they already handle a lot of discrete personnel and
Correct.
payroll and personnel issues within the village
Yeah.
employees and stuff like that. So they already have that level of confidentiality there that we rely on.
Yep.
If something was to come to us, I guess I wouldn't necessarily have names involved, but it would just have documentation. They would have to prove somehow to us that a bad decision was made. Which I think that with a policy as, concrete as this, perhaps there wouldn't be too much in the way of challenging a decision because it's not a decision based on personalities or
Right.
persons. It's made by documented
Setback
proof or
opinion.
whatever.
Right.
If they can't provide certain proofs, then, maybe that would come to us somehow or whatever, but I would think that it's pretty open to how to prove what we got to do.
Could I ask you a question where you got this, so I have an idea where it's been done before?
From the billing provider,
From
they
the-
gave us a template, yep, because it's a question they're fielding of more and more.
Okay.
So we asked for some guidance. They actually had put something out with one of their blogs, if you will. Of, to have, recommending having something in place, it could be as simple as we have no policy, we just don't take anything.
Right.
But to have some kind of protocol for it.
They sent us this, I think it was from a community, but I'd have to look back because I don't remember.
We actually kind of
community it
looked
was.
online to see what other communities have our ambulance services, so it seems to be very similar protocol to follow this type of guidelines,
And that's where
fulfill a waiver.
that's where the idea of the clerks dealing with it as opposed to us dealing with it came up from that looking into different areas or whatever.
Well, I
that
like the
it-
standardization. It makes sense to me, so that people know what's going on. I don't know if it's the proper points where we should be at or not. We've got to think about that a little bit possibly. But I do think it's a good thing to take a good look at and stepwise, because I do believe it takes the subjectivity out of it, and that's what we need to do.
And it's, like I said, looking, everyone seems to have very similar guidelines for requesting it.
Okay.
Which municipality is in Onondaga County doing this?
I didn't ask that. I asked, Multimed, who else does it? And they don't necessarily service every others. I didn't think to ask directly what other ambulance providers. I know Manoa and
We have to make
Ambulance
we have to make a policy for ourselves. We don't
Yeah.
need to make a policy that copies every other community.
I mean, like, are you wondering like AMR? Like, the ambulance companies like AMR. Private.
But we do need to differentiate between the factors that may be different in our county than other communities. Am I correct in the fact that we are somewhat unique in the county in terms of being a fire department that is municipally funded and run, as opposed to most others who may contract for EMS services or have some kind of a not-for-profit?
So we are different from most because we are a municipal agency. But most of the ambulance corps are now all, whether they say volunteer or not, they're all getting tax base. So there's a tax, they're collecting taxes, they're paying all their employees. So they're municipal as well, but sort of not this,
Yeah.
they're incorporated, so we're sort of similar. I think,
The funding or financial flow is similar.
yeah,
Like the town of ABC does all the tax collecting, but they know they have to pay ambulance XYZ so much money at the end of the year, and they gotta collect it somewhere, so they're collecting from the folks. I'm assuming that's how.
yeah, so they're operate differently, but they do a similar thing. So it's hard because they have a board, but their board is made up not as a municipal board, as a board of directors that governs them, and their contract is a written contract. It's negotiated, sort of like what we do with our town of Manlius. They could pull that from us at any time, just like anybody could pull any of these other contracts. So, they collect ambulance revenue. I don't know I don't know if they do collections. I don't know if they do any of these other things. I know that a lot of the problems that we have are based on people that travel here. They go to Green Lakes, they get in car accidents, they get called on when people call because on their behalf that they didn't want to get called. That's where a lot of our problems come in, is it's not from the citizen that lives in the community. It's the people that travel from outside it and don't know what goes on here, don't feel like they have to pay. So I think this safeguards all of it for, if you have somebody that's on a low income in our community, you've got a better grasp at what's going on versus, we don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing, because we got to worry about this for our community and what we're doing for ours.
Yeah, I get that point. I always think we have the right to be unique, but I also think that we can learn from other places. And when we are unique, you might want to look and see what are those differences and how are they meaningful. So when you mentioned the not-for-profit have a board of directors, they have a different kind of role than elected officials of a village have. And so, that's something that I thought about. And, I don't know the answers to. I've only looked at this for a couple of days and tried to wrap my head around it.
Yep.
So I want to make sure we don't create a problem for ourselves. I think we have the potential to create a problem for ourselves here. I understand where our heart is coming from and that we want to be compassionate. But I am very nervous about our clerks getting involved in income verification, and, verification of insurance, having to deal with the public about that paperwork. It sounds simple on paper, but in my experience, that kind of stuff is not that simple.
And they don't get the waiver.
Especially if
That's easy.
they're people from out of town. And I wonder, I started looking at poverty guidelines and I'm looking, well, they're a little bit different than what's in here. Definitions of family and household can different. I worked in human services. I didn't personally have to do income verification, but my agencies did. So I know that this is a little bit more complicated than it might seem at first, when we don't have experience necessarily with the complications that may arise for our clerks. So I'm concerned about increased work for the clerks. I'm also concerned about, if we don't really want to advertise this, but at any point, anyone can say, well, I heard so-and-so. Or, you discussed it at a board meeting, so I know that there's a process. So I'm concerned about, providing an option that for everyone equally. And the other thing I'm concerned about is, or would like to see happen, is that we at least consult with NICOM, because they are not us, but they have a much broader perspective than we have in terms of where these things may have been done, what they think about the role for the municipal clerks and the liability that the village may have. So that information would, I think, be useful to all of us. I know it would be useful for me. And that is, and I also, my last question to the chief was, is this a role that the auxiliary could take on? If there is a hardship, that it be directed to the auxiliary, because they're separate, are they not?
This is built by the village, not by the fire department. This is our money, the village people's money that's providing this service. We're making the decisions in this building. not that building,
when
about the
somebody-
hardships.
But when someone is asking for a fee to be waived, that could be done by another type of
No.
organization.
No, it's gonna be
Can't
done
be?
here. It's going to be done here in the village. We are the ones that collect the taxpayers' dollars. We are the ones responsible for providing the services. The fire department provides the services, we're providing the funding for it. If somebody has a hardship, they can come to us. This is very clear cut. I will ask NICOM. This is very clear cut as to how the guidelines work. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but we have to come up with a plan that is, and it is fair and equitable to everybody as it is. When people apply for a tax reduction for for senior citizens, they have to provide their income tax return to the town of Manlius, to the assessor's office, to the clerk's office, to whomever. It's not something that is strictly private that nobody else gets that's a clerk and they see. And to prove that you have health insurance, a very simple thing. You can make a copy of your card that's up to date and send it.
But
to
to her
us.
point, I think she's looking out, and I appreciate where you're going with this, that it's an added task to the clerk's office that we may not be
Okay, then
prepared
it'll
for.
come back to here then. If
So-
that's the way, if it's gonna be
That's-
too much for
Well, and
somebody,
I
we'll
didn't look
figure it
at it
out.
that way because that's part of the clerk's job is to manage the funds. And if this is one element that we have to do once in a while, I guess we'd have to see if this is becoming a chronic issue where we would need staff dedicated to, handle such matters that maybe you were alluding to, like having auxiliary, somebody that might have more time in their hands to focus on something like that. I could appreciate that. It doesn't mean we can't revisit the idea if we found that this was becoming burdensome, that it was something people were utilizing much more than we thought. Yes, it might involve some time, but I'm looking at it like we have given the tools. It's up to these individuals to provide all this, to provide information to show that this is even a matter to consider, which, and my thinking is, how many people will go through this effort? It's easy enough to write a letter and ask for something. But if somebody was seriously in need, they would take the time to provide the information needed to help them and you with the matter. And, so I think it is something that we can handle in the clerk's office. I might be proven wrong, and then certainly I would come back to you and say, yeah, this is a different animal than we thought, or we need to reevaluate the process.
And is this something that you can get training from Nikon?
I don't know. I didn't know. I don't even know
I
if
wouldn't.
NICOM
I
is
don't
gonna
know
be
what
even
the training
versed in
would
the
be.
situation. What kind of training would I need? I mean, if they're showing that they're meet a certain poverty level. That's all I'm looking for is confirmation they fall within these parameters, within, on a scale, let's say, all right, that you fall within these two areas. That, then yes, we will grant you the waiver. I guess I was looking at it a little more cut and dry, it's numbers. If you fall below this number, then we'll give it to you. If you can't prove that you fall below this number, I'm sorry, you don't qualify.
You don't have any insurance stuff to look at because the provider, the medical company already does all that. That's in our notes when we look at a claim. If whether they got insurance or if it's been, how it's been billed or how many times they've tried to get different insurances or something like that. It's always in our notes when we look at the claims.
And this accounts for private insurance, do we have accounting for, public insurance?
Like
It
Medicaid or
takes
something.
care,
What
can
about-
account all of it.
Yeah.
So I would probably be working with the billing company because I'm surmising that they'd be the first person told, like, because they're the one sending the bill, like, I can't pay this. And that's where our policy would come into play. And Multi-Med says, all right, well, there is a policy, this is what you need to do. And then puts it back on the patient to, provide information that shows that this bill's a hardship.
That's a number of months though. That's truly like 9 months after the call. Just so you guys know I mean, this isn't a quick process. Once you take somebody in, they're not gonna give you you're not gonna ask for a hardship waiver the next month. it's months after, because it's three bills and then we
Right.
send them to collections and then they get the letter and then they start fighting for the money to not to pay it or something. So it's a lengthy process before this happens too.
So
Can you, did you, do you think that this is the best way to go?
Something's better than nothing. So you could always look at this, put a year on it and say, I mean, the reality is we don't have a lot of these. We've had a couple in the last year, but before that it's sporadic. So, you know, the reality is we don't have a lot of these, so try it for a year. It's
Yeah.
all national income based numbers, so it's not like it's, you know, somebody picked them out of the sky and here, we're gonna go with these numbers today. You know, the billing company gave us this stuff. I don't see a harm in
The
it.
support of the billing company, I mean, working with them, they'll have insurance
Yep.
information, they'll have the guidance, so they've already kind of started the process of, you know, what this person can or can't do. So I agree that it gives us a little bit more leverage to even entertain some of these.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, I was.
I happen to think this is the right way to go. Because we need to have some kind of systematic basis in order to understand what we can do. And this is basically looking at it from a poverty point of view. And this is the same information people provide to local governments already about whether to determine whether or not they reduce their taxes and things such as that. Because you're typically working with the same numbers all the time. It's not unusual. And it really becomes, the onus becomes on the citizen whether or not they wish to provide that or not. It's not under you. And what I find interesting is those reductions in real estate taxes is really being handled more expeditiously, actually by the state now, over time than they have in the past. So this is not where everything is being determined here, because they're working with a similar standard all across the state. This is different. This is your individual standard for our community, but it's still the same principle of how this works. And so, and I think that would be a really good way to do it. And I think as the chief says, we only have a couple a year at most. And it would give us an idea of whether or not we're going in the right direction or not. And the other problem is, as he said, you know, our fire department is under our village, and so they're under our jurisdiction as far as what goes on, as far as how we do things or whatever. Other fire departments are under a whole bunch of different directions in how they're organized and they work. And every organization would be in a position where they have a different way of doing it. But in our situation, we're really it. We're the ones to do that. And so I think it's the right way to go. I don't know if the numbers are right that we should be looking at or should be looking at something different. That's the piece that I'm not sure of. But I don't think I'm going to be sure no matter what I do. And somewhere along here, we're going to have to make a decision to make sure we understand in order to try to treat people as equitably as possible. That's what I'm looking at. I don't see this as when you won the lottery, no matter what you do. It's just not going to be that kind of deal.
They still ultimately have an out too, right?
Yeah.
If they don't agree with it, then it can still come to you and they complete their case if they got a case. And
It's drafted in here. That's the only comment I have.
It could be.
It could be.
If we want to give them an appeals process, then I think we need to add that. So that's it. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I actually think this is very easily handled by the clerk's office. You can handle more than we're ever gonna get in a year. And
Yeah, if you handle 6 a year, I think that would be a large number.
right.
Oh, yeah, we really,
I know we don't.
yeah, that's why, no, I can appreciate, you know, that you're thinking, you know, oh, well, let's not do one more thing, the clerks, you know, don't add to all the tasks. But in some ways, I feel like this would actually be helpful for everybody, including us. Because we get these calls, you know, we will get inquiries, they don't always continue to
Forward or
you, but we
whatever,
get,
right.
you know, phone calls probably. We probably field more phone calls than we do necessarily anybody actually taking the time to write a letter, let alone back it up with some hard facts that they
Right.
really are in dire straits like they want to claim they are. So this, really helps us in the office when we do get these random phone calls, that they just want to vent, or do you really have an issue?
It gives you guidelines to work with
Yeah.
the citizen about how in order to deal with this appropriately.
So
Well,
maybe something to think about, having an appeals process noted, maybe that covers with all our
I actually
bases.
don't want.
and
I mean, people can get appeal at any time. So to me, whether it says it or not, people can always feel like they have that right.
I think it'll be, it's like the zoning. After we've done it for a while, we're gonna find out if it's done right. So I would just give it a
Test it
shot,
out.
you know.
Can we have it applied to just village residents?
I don't
Really,
know.
residents don't.
Okay,
See,
sorry.
you could, but I don't think
No.
that's really beneficial.
But so,
That's one thing that multi-med did say, the lawyer, they made some comments, they had.
Universal.
It's gotta be, if you do something, it needs to be universal, I will say that much.
but that doesn't, that
Because
doesn't
currently-
correspond with how we do write-offs.
Correct.
Which, yes, it made me think that they were questioning our method there too.
They've never, it's in writing, it's how they have it, and they know it. So it's been all set by them.
So a person in the village,
I just think that if we're gonna have a policy, a village policy for hardship possibility, it should be applied across the board. Whoever receives your service gets,
the ability to ask for the.
Well, yeah, but where I was going with it is if it is a village resident or a district resident that is in our district, we don't go after them anyway.
right,
We write the balance off or the full thing off, as long as they haven't gotten a check. So,
Thanks.
that's the way it is, as long as they don't get a check. If they get a check, they owe it to us, no matter if they're a village resident or
We
district
gotta make
resident.
sure they let us know that,
Somebody needs to be reminded of it.
Yes, they do.
and then have a great big party.
Okay, so.
I do with this.
So what I'm hearing is I'm going to check with NICOM on the policy itself, if they have any other recommendations or thoughts on the.
Just more
policy,
background on other communities, what they're doing.
And or with NICOM on the idea of a village clerk handling this type of an application process or whatever, if they have any information about that. To the policy, we're gonna add the date. And so that we know when we created it, other than just being in the minutes, so the policy as written will have the date on it itself. And I'm going to also incorporate something in here about an appeal process.
Right.
To the village board if their appeal is denied. Just the village.
It's black and white.
see
I
that?
mean,
We can double check the numbers of the federal poverty guidelines. That's what I think I looked them up online after I got them from the multi-med too, but that's what I did.
Do they coincide with what we included?
There's a slight adjustment, and there's also the consideration of, are you gonna look at month or year? So that's the two things that they would have to look at.
Well, this says it'll be updated each year, so it'll be the yearly one.
But the breakdown was by month or year,
Well,
right?
I'm not talking about the person, I'm talking about, are you gonna look at their monthly income or are you gonna look at their annual income? Cause not everybody files taxes, so, just a couple things like that. And,
you're right, there was-
I personally had a little trouble understanding the disclaimer, but I can talk to you about that, Karen. And, yeah.
I'd like to look at it myself.
And-
It's give it to me.
And is Ted looking at it too?
Yeah, we have shared it with him too.
Yes.
And the form, it says the attached form, but I didn't see the attached.
We didn't do that because I figured it's the policy we need to solidify.
The form is just collecting the information that is written in the policy, so proof of their income. We asked for proof of health insurance on that form because that was on the form that we were given. But now with the chief's information, we may or may not need that 100%.
You should still ask.
We
for it.
probably
can
will,
get
we'll
it.
probably leave it
Yeah,
on there.
we'll have it.
And then if we have it we can always verify it then with what they tell us and compared to what multi-med tells us or whatever. And then I think there was some very simple things like that. That's why I
It's
believe
basically
that,
like where they're signing, they're authorizing that this is what I'm doing.
right, and they're
It's
saying,
like,
they're
it's
testing
in
to the
sheet.
fact that their
Right, they have to
information is
sign it.
correct and true and stuff like that. If anybody had to apply or ever deal with Medicaid, you would think this was like frosting on a cake. If anybody had to apply or ask for assistance with the funeral expenses, you would think this is frosting on a cake also. I've dealt with the people that, I think that it's much easier, as Mark said, to get your taxes reduced and your,
It's gotten a lot easier.
the
for
STAR
folks.
program and the different things like that.
Yeah.
What they still ask for, what they demand, what they have proof for, some of these other things is above and beyond what we're asking for. I see it, and I'm not gonna be doing it, so this is how I envision it. Is somebody gets a form, they complete the form, they bring in the documentation, it's handed to the clerk's office. Someone, Karen or someone in the clerk's office, looks at the numbers, looks at the paperwork and approves it or disapproves it based upon simple facts of what they're seeing. And they don't have to look at a whole tax return. They can look at a bottom line. They can look at a social security statement that somebody gets every year. They can look at a pay stub because there's people that are probably still working that might have hardships and stuff. So there's lots of ways to prove what you've got going on.
Our major problem is our income in a lot of different varieties. And many people will sell stocks and things such as that once a year, things such as that. So we end up in different things because you time it for capital gains tax and everything.
Right.
So a piece of your adjusted income typically off your federal taxes is why it's done that way.
Right.
You know, I just
So-
like to say, rather than doing weekly and monthly, I have to say
If
that.
they're selling stocks, I don't think they gotta worry about an ambulance bill.
You have no idea.
Well, yearly, so we will, I will get answers to this unless anybody else wants to discuss it. I will get answers to these questions. And get them to you before the next meeting. And if you, because of our discussion tonight, if you have more comments or questions that you'd like answered, just send them to me, please, so that we can get those answered and back. So that we can come up with something to go forward with, just in case we get another request. We want to get something in place for the time being anyway.
Good. Thank you.
And as a policy, it's not a law, so we have the ability to change our policy every other meeting if we want to, and I don't want that. But
Actually,
But,
every meeting, but don't say every other.
All right. Well, I was trying to give us,
That every year.
no, we're not gonna do it, but I wanna make sure that it's not like, if we make a mistake, we have the ability to correct our mistake or our overlooking some explanation that we should have done differently. Sure. Doesn't have to be the end. Black party request for Elm Street?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, but Elm Street, has often had a block party and they're requesting, permission to hold one again on Elm Street, between Academy Street and Center Street on Saturday, June 27th from 5 to 10 p.m. They're looking for permission to close the street off temporarily that date. Gathering is a wonderful opportunity for neighbors to connect, strengthen relationships, and build a sense of community that makes Fayetteville such a special place to live.
So we will notify the police and the DPW and the fire.
Fire, that's it.
So a motion to
Do that
allow
on the
the
before.
So
second. Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Solicitor's permit.
Yes, I have. Permit for one individual, who's passed the background and in the, check, his Jaden Gist is his name. Working with Southwestern Advantage, it's selling educational resources. Apps, books, websites. Every once in a while, we get. A solicitor looking to sell books. Maybe not from the same company during the summertime.
Have we ever done this company before? Have you seen?
I
don't
Not
remember it.
familiar to me, but I didn't look, the concept is familiar. I did
Okay.
not get a chance to look in the file to see if it's the same company name they're representing as in the past.
Right.
But
Because I was just looking to see if there any previous history, that's all.
no, definitely, nothing that comes to mind as being an issue. So
Thank you.
there's been no concerns that have come up. So I was looking for permission to submit a letter with the usual parameters,
A
limitations.
motion to accept this or to have Karen issue the permit based upon it. Everything's done.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
While we're on that subject, what happened to the bug people? Anybody had them at their house?
We
Yeah.
haven't heard
Yes,
Oh, you have?
I did too.
I had somebody.
what are the bug?
that active,
We
active,
approved a
Yeah.
bug.
Yeah.
how did they seem in person?
It was all right.
You mean it?
We approved this.
It didn't have us, didn't show any identification, like he had a permit or anything, or
Supposed to have a copy of the
They didn't
letter,
have
but
any-
they
They
don't,
bring bugs.
that's not uncommon, they never bring a letter.
I asked for it just to check.
Then they tell you how
Be
you-
on their phone.
Oh, good.
They can get
And they
rid of
were.
They're trying to spray your lawn?
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's
They
good to know.
don't-
Remember what the one was, so.
I already have
I
somebody
usually
doing
get
it, so.
Cause they stopped at my,
So-
they stopped at my door. as
On
well,
the
and I did the same
side.
thing.
I never did it before.
I never
They
did.
come in
the
with bugs and put them work.
Thank you for testing it.
You have
because I
bugs.
wouldn't think to do that.
I never thought of it before. I came running from upstairs and downstairs to see how it worked
What's that?
with when they came to the door.
Checking out their credentials.
Oh, I did, my kids laugh.
I
Because I
went in-
give everybody a hard time, people knowing, especially when I know they shouldn't be at my door.
Right.
So it's a game with my kids,
I think they're too confused with my house. They don't know which door to go to.
so they don't go
So
either.
So they bypass.
There's a
us.
method to the
There
madness.
is a method.
Did we do all of it? I think we did all of
Did we
it.
do approval on that?
Did we vote on it?
On the solicitor's permit, well, we had a motion that was.
Second,
yes.
did we vote? Or no?
I think we
No-
did.
Nobody said nay, so.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, okay.
All
I
in
thought we
favor?
did, but.
I just wanted to be sure.
All right, well, is that all in favor of the
Yeah,
solicitor?
very
permit?
good.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, 8A is the Circus Orchestra. So I have a contract to sign with them for $20,000, which we anticipated, and a outdoor performance technical writer, which just talks about stage requirements, production facility, stagehands, basically kind of the parameters of what they do, what they don't do. If we were to have fireworks, we're responsible for that, but we're not having fireworks, and so just kind of the general thing. So I would seek permission to sign this.
It's pretty much the same thing as every year, he said. There's a
So you got that one this year again?
July 11th.
I
Okay.
move to approve mayor signing the contract.
Thank
I
you.
second, if it hasn't been done already.
Moved and seconded July 11th, 7:30 PM
7:30.
for a couple hours, I think it said, or something like that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Trustee updates, which end do we want to start at? Casey or Jane? If you have a preference. Anybody?
Start.
I want to just appreciate everyone who planned and managed the parade. It went off really, really well. And despite the threatening weather reports, Karen's prediction that we would not have rain came true. And John, I had a little conversation with John Goodfellow, and he said in his 50 years, it has never rained. So
That's what I based my prediction on.
they would maybe consider you as meteorologists.
Yeah.
You remember in the rain?
Do you remember?
Remember being drenched, but maybe it was my sweat. I don't know.
I don't know if I ever remember, I do remember it raining like at the ceremony, but not maybe for the actual walking
Is it
at the parade.
Rain stopped just
But
before
I-
the parade, so we're having to put a tent over the band,
Got it correct?
but it stopped, and then it started as soon as our parade ended. But just in time for Manlius.
Manlius, we've gotten soaked a
That's where
couple
they,
times.
Manlius gets
Yes.
soaked every time.
So wearing my tree commission liaison hat, I request approval to send tree commission member Dan Roche to the New York Relief Conference 2026. It is sponsored by the New York State Urban Forestry Council and the new, Karen, this, I have this typed out, I'll send it to you. And the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. It will be held from July 15th to the 17th at Manhattan University in the Bronx. The registration fee is $230 and the accommodations, which are in a dorm, are $250 for 2 nights. The total request is $480. And just a note, we sent 2 members last year who learned a lot that they shared with the tree commission and brought back documents that were helpful to them.
So the motion?
I move. I-
Yes,
I
okay.
move at my request.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Then, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think we approved those last 2 last year on the very same meeting date.
Oh, did we? Yeah,
Yeah, so they worked out perfectly.
Dan will do a
Very
good
good.
job there.
thank you.
Thank you.
And so, the tree commission meets this week. It's the first time it's met since the zoning update came out. We'll probably ask a couple of people to, take that on as a task to look at it more thoroughly, because we can't really discuss it more in our meeting. That, and we had already put into play that everyone should be looking at the zoning code and thinking about its appropriateness. And so, 3 people who are on the tree commission as well attended the Fayetteville Climate Action Committee meeting.
Yep.
Input session, and it was really great, and it was.
Thank you.
A little startling how much trees came up, it just kind of increased the stress about, wow, we really, have a lot of things we need to think about. And then, The planting request form hopefully is gonna be put up on the website. And in our newsletter, it says that we'll be accepting requests in hard copy or online from June 1st to July 15th. And pruning is continuing. There was a session at the beginning of May, there's gonna be one at the beginning of June, July 18th, and then the recommendation is that you don't prune in the hotter months. The pruners are expressing that this is a daunting task, and you know, the rate they're going. We may have to come up with a different plan, but they're not wanting to just recruit generally for people to come in and help prune. They're doing people like one-on-one, somebody who knows something about trees, or people who have gone through the training with Cornell Father Extension. Because they don't want to be in the position of having to train while doing the work. So that's why it'll just be a little bit grow gradually in terms of the number of people. And we really do appreciate all the partnership we get with DPW. It's really critical. Town of Manlius Police Department had a great open house on the 16th. It was very well attended. And how do they know that? Dan, you'll appreciate this by how many hot dogs were consumed. So it was a large number of people.
I didn't make it up.
It
I made it to the fire department.
Mhm.
And hot dogs there.
It was really great talking with the cadets. They were very professional for their young age, many of them really interested in law enforcement careers here and in some other places, maybe where they grew up. And I donned the glasses for driving with cannabis, and even with the cadet next to me, I killed many traffic cones. So it was a good learning experience. And I had great conversations with the evidence tech and the drone operator. I was there for 2 hours. There was a lot to learn. So, and then communications, I want to just say that this was the best collaboration yet on everyone meeting. We're almost meeting the deadlines. We got it out according to our schedule, and we predict it will arrive to residents on June 1st. And I just want to note that Patty Wortley was really helpful on layout. This. Yeah, there was a lot of fiddling around and working things out, so her attention to detail was very much appreciated.
All set? Okay. I actually got a couple things. All I can do is say thank you to a lot of people right now. There's a lot that's going on where a lot of people have worked. And I'll let Jane talk more about the meeting that we had for the public, dealing with our zoning, etc. She'll handle that a little bit better for me. Two things that I want to talk about are Climate Action Committee with Isabel Wilson, who worked from Central New York Regional Planning and Development and ran that workshop with everybody. I want to say thank you to everybody within the village and outside the village who showed up, because it was really a very good turnout for what we were doing. The tabletops are very different than what a lot of people are used to seeing. And that actually helps people understand the complexity of problems at times. I know the chief is very familiar with tabletops because he works with them quite frequently in different locations for different purposes. And I've done some of those as well. And I always am amazed because as you were talking about, our unintended consequences is always the big thing. And what we didn't think of is always the thing that bothers us. And so I'm going to say those are the kinds of things that I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up and worked on that. That was really wonderful. Because we had a really good representation of everybody within the village. I want to say lastly, but it's obviously on the top of my list, I want to talk about the Memorial Day Parade, and I wish to thank Karen and Patty Wortley, because they did an amazing job, because we also had to create stronger interaction than we normally do with the town of Manlius Police Department, and that worked exceedingly well for us in order to get that done. And I had to apologize because I was on a really short chain that day. So I couldn't be there for the entirety, and everybody worked their way through it. It was wonderful. I'll say thank you. The DPW, Tyler and his people put everything together very, very well. Chief, thank you very much. Your people always are doing what they need to do, and I appreciate that. And I also want to thank the Village of Fayetteville's trustees and the mayor for all participating very strongly and working with that, because for all of us to be there means the whole community is there, and that's what's really important for us. And I want to say that because we are in fact still striving to create a better community here, no matter what we do. That's one of our overall goals, my individual. So I want to say thank you to everyone.
Good. Damn, yeah. Dave?
Yeah, so I echo everybody's thank yous for the parade. I really appreciate your ability to stop the rain. I have to remember that for
Rain
other
woman.
occasions, so I was convinced we were
Support
gonna
here.
get rain. So that was kind of nice that, it was really nice that the weather cooperated, didn't rain and it was warmer. So that was great, but I also saw in participating in the parade, saw a lot of just community feeling in the, the vibe of the parade. It was great. I am an advocate for having something to pass out to the children. Whether that is candy or whether that are beads or pinwheels. I've talked to a lot of people about what we can do. I passed a lot of children who were disappointed when there was nothing to be dropped into their bags. And that was, something to remember that they're part of our community too. They're a very, very important part of our community, they're an important part of our future. So anyway, it was a great day. It was a great day had by all. And I got to pull my little granddaughter who was having a birthday that day. So she got to see, so it's good. Obviously, we have all of our municipalities participating along with us. I had comments given to me about the very, I don't know if I use the right word, mild visibility, but visibility of town of Manlius Police, and they appreciated that. So there were guys on bicycles and stuff, and they said, they were so low key, but still there, that they thought that was really a nice touch. So enough of that. Senior Center is still standing. I think they're active still. They're doing well. We're gonna have to, Tyler and I are gonna have to meet up with them and get some of their to-do lists looked at. Janet has been very accommodating by putting up a lot of the boards for the zoning work that we've done, which is a segue into the zoning committee. We, as you all know, we had the public meeting. The zoning committee has been receiving comments. And that we are scheduling a next meeting so that we can all get together and review all these comments together. And determine if the working draft is in, at the stage where they are ready to submit it to the board. You may all also know that a letter was sent to the editor of the Eagle Bulletin by Marguerite Ross. And it's unfortunate that all of her comments, in my opinion, are premature because the board has not received a draft of the code. So we haven't taken a deep dive into the potential impacts of the code because we need to receive the code before we can start what they call the secret process. So it's unfortunate that that kind of commentary comes out in that way. And I think it's going to be important I will submit a letter. I don't know if any of the other board members are concerned about it, but I think it's important to set a firm understanding of the process that's ahead of us. So, code. So.
Well, with regard to that, you
Yeah.
said you would submit it.
Yeah.
I really don't think that the letter you submit, and this is my opinion. I mean, I've seen a lot of letters that I said I should write back about that. I don't think it's really a good idea to necessarily answer the questions that are posed in a letter.
Right. I
Okay,
know what you're saying.
So, I mean, explaining what it took place is my idea of a good letter.
So,
I've seen a lot of letters, we all have, where people have been criticized one way or the other. Whether it's a department, whether it's this, whether it's that. And the idea is, do I submit at that point? How do I write? Do I write and answer what the objection is, or do I write and say, this is the way we do things?
Thank you.
So, well, I'm not telling you, I just don't want to get a back and forth.
I'm not angling that. I'm just,
Okay.
I think it's important for readers to understand what our process is
Okay.
ahead of us.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's it.
I don't like those letters if they say this, you say this, and then
Right,
back.
Right.
Because people are not reading them at the same moment in time, or they may read one and not the other. It's
I'm
confusing.
sorry, I can't hear you.
It confuses people. What I agree with what Dan's saying. It confuses people when the letters try to talk to each other a week apart. You may have read one, but not the other, and, you know,
Right.
so just, yeah.
I agree. This is just an inflammatory type of proposed letter that got published. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily represent all the facts. And so if we can correct the factual types of information about the process, I think it will help people and not coerce them into thinking the wrong things. That's all.
One of the things that I think would help, because I don't know either, is the public comment period. Like how long people have. I saw that you, in last week's social media, that you said by June 1st.
So this is it. And I've said this before, so I'll say it again. Right now, the working draft is in front of the zoning committee. The zoning committee is working on it. They have been doing that for 2 years. They're getting to the point where they've massaged it and hopefully they're going to be ready to hand it over to the board. The request for public comments to June 1st is just for the zoning committee and its attempt to get a working draft to the board.
Okay,
Okay? Once a working draft comes to the Board of Trustees, we still have lots of public comment period. A lot of public comment period. We still have to go through seeker, which I've said many times. We can't start seeker. Zoning committee can't, the
Village board can't start secret.
No, what I'm trying to say is the village board is the final decision maker on the code. So the village board will be the lead agency under seeker. That's why the zoning committee is not starting seeker. Right? They were a committee of folks that were put together to try to get different perspectives within our community on this whole issue. With the very significant help of professional consultants. So that's where we're at. But once this Board of Trustees receives a working draft, then we have the responsibility of beginning an environmental quality review process. And that process is going to be very involved. I mean, we have to look at the potential impacts, right? That's not going to be what they quote unquote call a short form. We don't have that luxury. We have to take a hard look at these impacts. Like the creation of the zoning code, and we will be working with the consultants because they will be helping us with these impacts. They have the tools and the software to conduct some of these build-out analysis that we need to do. Once that's prepared, we will have a point in time where that's also going to be ready for public review. I don't know when that's going to be. I am hoping that we can get a lot of this very heavy lift done this summer. Hoping July, maybe August. I mean, we got months ahead of us of review. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't want to.
it's not like I haven't heard you describe the process. It's just, I don't have the experience that you have. So I don't know how long each step takes, for instance, or how much we embed ourselves in a particular step. Like I have observed seeker a number of times, only once was it a little bit lengthy. So when we talk about us doing seeker, I don't have a picture for how that's gonna look. You know what I mean? I don't know to what degree we get into the details. I've seen seeker done in 10 minutes, you know what I mean, when everybody's clear. So for me, not knowing what that can look like, I think about the time frame, and I think about, will we have the time? It's a lot to digest. It's way over my head in a lot of different ways, because I don't bring expertise to the table. But I do think that it's important to, as a representative to the citizens, to really back it and to ask questions. So, that part, I think tonight I got a better idea. That's a more in-depth process, the secret process. And, I don't know, like, if we send it to the county, then we change it. Do we send it back to the county again? There's some questions like that. And,
You know
when
what?
do we stop when does it start to get narrow that we don't make an adjustment? I guess,
When
these are the
we're-
questions in my head.
Great questions. When we as a board are ready to adopt it, which could be December, it could be July of 27. It's
No.
gonna be up to this board.
I, but it can be.
It is an involved process. It is not one that any one of us can say, I'm gonna get to that tomorrow. Or I'll read half of it today and the other half next week. Everyone's gonna take it and deal with it how they know how to, okay? I don't know how to say that in any other cogent way, but the material is out there in hard form in 3 different locations right now. It's also available to everybody at any time of the day through our website. Someone wakes up at 3 a.m. and cannot get to sleep, have at the use table. It might help. My point is, though, that it is readily available to everybody. It will stay that way. It may get a little confusing because when the zoning committee meets, we may change some things because we've heard some comments we have to discuss. And we have to react to that as a committee. Then that becomes like working draft number 2, right? Then we're going to go through seeker and we're going to see potential impacts, and we may all want to pull back on something. Like, oh dear goodness, I didn't know that we were going to have 5,000 apartment units available here. Maybe we don't want 5,000. I don't know. I don't know as much as you don't know. Literally. You have to go through the analysis to know.
Okay.
We haven't done that. We've done the creation of the code with knowledge and experience, but you still have to do the analysis. Okay. We will be talking with seeker experts. We as a board will need these seeker experts to make sure that we are following the process and the proper amount of time frame. Certainly don't want to cut anything short, but we don't want to leave it open for a year either, because I think it gets stale. My goal is to keep this active so people stay informed and engaged. There will become hopefully there comes a point in time, like Dan said earlier, we have to kind of just feel comfortable with the draft we're at and adopt it. That doesn't mean we can't change things down the road if we find that a review process for site plan doesn't work or needs a tweak or something like that. The other thing I wanted to say, and this is for everybody, there is a working draft that is available to everybody right now. You can review it. You may have comments. You may say, I don't know that you're thinking about a particular use in a particular zoning district. You're like, I don't know if I like that. You can think about it. If you don't get a comment to the zoning committee, that doesn't mean you can't comment to the board. That doesn't mean in July you can't come. I mean, you can come forward in July and say, I really don't like the fact that we're allowing, 3-family residential units on this street, literally, because we changed the line of the zoning district. You can come forward. You don't have to feel like you're missing an opportunity to comment because of this June 1st initial date. That date is to help the zoning committee understand what people are thinking and how they're reacting, and for the zoning committee to be able to react to that. Does that
Or
make
do you,
sense?
or do you think it's a bad idea to start reviewing document that does exist either, correct? For us to start reviewing the
I think
document
it's a
that
great
exists,
idea to start.
because I've
reviewing
already
the
been starting
document
to do
out.
that or whatever, because I
wouldn't
might
wait.
not have.
I would
I
not
don't wanna
wait.
wait till the final, then
No.
start from, try and start from scratch, cause it's gonna be a lot of stuff to take in, as you just
It's a
said.
lot of
that it will
Take
be.
in when.
There's some easy things maybe to check off and say, yes, that looks really good, and then there's gonna be more
It's
in-depth
actually a better
types
way to
of
say it.
stuff to,
Like you may see the zoning district line change, you're like, you know what, I think that's a great idea. That's cool with me. Let's move on to something else. My thinking is when the working draft code does come from the zoning committee to the board of trustees, it's not a matter of handing a piece of paper and say, here, Dan, now it's your turn. Not it, right? That's not that simple. I am talking to the consultants and I'm saying, guys, at that point, we need a full presentation to the board of trustees. We need we need you guys to come in and explain everything you've done to date. We all know, basically, but it's really nice to hear it together. And then to explain the portions of the, of the proposed code. There will not be a red line. It can't happen. It's way too complicated. But there's a diagnostic report, and that helps outline what's changed and where we've gone with it. So I'm working with them on making sure that that can happen. We don't know when that's gonna happen because the zoning committee has to review where they're at now. They may need more time. And that's legitimate. I don't know what else. I don't wanna repeat myself, so I don't know what else to say.
Mark, just need to
Well, I
reiterate
think
that
the
on the
other-
website, this June 1st, but this is
Yeah,
only the
Yeah.
beginning. There will be more public comment
We can
opportunities.
do another push notification and say exactly that.
yeah, there's many places for public comment. The other thing is gotta remember, our committee isn't totally settled on what's going on yet either. You've gotta remember, we're trying to work our way through issues along the way because that's what goes on. And I always remember working on the comprehensive plan. Mike worked on the comprehensive plan with me as the rest of the committee did. Somehow we knew when we were ready to say we're done. But it wasn't like anybody pushed you to say that, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, this needs to go to the next step. And that's where you know where you are. It's not like, and as Jane said, and we've been working on this, and Jane and I kid one another all the time about the fact that it's like, as we work on this, we got to figure out what we've done is just, we're going to throw it out and start over, or what are we doing at times? And that really is what you're really looking at. The other part is sometimes you start thinking things and all of a sudden things start to come into focus for you because you start thinking about those unintended consequences. It's like, hold it, that's such and such and such and such. No, that argument doesn't work here. And you start working your way through them. And it really has taken 2 years to get there. It's brutal. And I've got to say that it really is. There's been times when I didn't know which way it was up, and then all of a sudden things start hitting. It's like you start to understand where everything is.
I will say it is complex. I guess I and I can say that even having worked in the field, but if you really wanted a place to start, I would get a copy of the old zoning map and a copy of the proposed new zoning map. And I would start comparing those district lines, just the lines. Like, okay, I like it, I don't like it. Some of it hopefully all of it makes sense, but then your next step, in my opinion, is to go to the use table. So that for every new district, and the district names, they're not stuck in stone, we can change them. We just wanted, as a group, we wanted to get off the numerical names, R1, R2, R3. And we wanted to get into names that related more to the character of that district in our village. And that it was an underlying theme for everything we've done on this code, is to really have things speak to the character of the village. And that's with the design guidelines. Anyway, so Once you're done with the use table, good luck.
It really is an amazing piece of work. And the fact that we had so many experts working on it for so long is why it's a lot to digest. I do very much appreciate it, and I understand we need it. Where are the sites for where the hard copy is? It's one here, one in the library, and one
Senior.
senior center. Great. This idea of having seeker experts help consult with us, that's the first time I heard that, so that was really kind of great.
I guess that, you're right, it's the first time I've said that, but it's always been understood. I mean, our scope includes fees for legal services, and the consultants will be providing additional support, right? So that's fine. I really
The
just,
secret cookbook that I have is about this thick, so that
I
I'm
would not-
confident,
yeah.
I'm confident that having the expertise help us
Yeah.
is a really good thing. And then the final thing I wanted to say was, I'm really glad to hear that we will have a presentation. Because reading it, but then kind of living it and talking about it is something that I think will be very beneficial, so. Major thank you, and thank you for clarifying the things you did tonight.
you're welcome.
I agree. I think a presentation puts a whole different light on it, that you're not reading into it because you don't know where it came from. Like when they present, they can explain why they've got what they got, so it'll help.
Yeah.
me
Well, I
also.
do want to be. How do I say this? I think it's best if you can have some work of your own working knowledge of this code for the presentation, because you may then have good questions for them at the presentation. There's a part of the written code that is all about review procedures by the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. The Historic Preservation Commission section did not get changed at all. It stays the same. Changes in how we look at dimensional regulations, not what they are. We still have our side yard setbacks, our rear yard setbacks, and so forth. But it's how we look at them. We actually have drawings to show and illustrate what they mean. And that is really becoming an industry standard, because we have people who read all the time, they read the written word and they get it. And then we have visual interpreters, like they don't even have to read the written word, they just have to look at the drawing and they get it. And then you got someone who's kind of both, right? So providing that in our code should help everybody, the developer, the applicant, the planning board member, the resident who's interested. Everybody should be able to get a stronger sense of what's going on. That's the purpose of those dimensional regulations sheets. There's one for every zoning district that's being proposed. And we have to do some kind of analysis of what that means, right?
Anything else?
I could go on and on and on,
I
but
know.
I'm not. I am
We could listen to you, but.
I am understanding that.
Cause we're learning as you're telling us.
And if you could, the only message I really would like people to convey to others, if they're concerned about the amount of time they have to comment, to review and comment, I would recommend that we inform them that we have a lot of review ahead of us. A lot of time and comment is ahead of us. It's like that public meeting was just the start line. That's all it was. So we needed to start something somewhere somehow, and that's what we did. It was not the end. And June 1st is not the end. Sorry, Karen. It's not the end.
No, I know, but that's what.
If people think that, please correct them on that.
Well, you can include that in your little article
We're gonna
too, or
do
whatever,
another-
yeah.
Do another big blast, because they get another week and then.
June 1st, just for the feedback to the zoning committee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
Welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it short, just thanking everybody for the Memorial Day celebration and parade and ceremony and all that went well, all the neighboring communities and participants and particularly all of our department, Karen and Patty and all of you and Tyler and his crew and Paul and his crew, Nate and BFW for their ceremony out here and participating with us. It was all very nice. And the only other comment I have is I do have a garden at the community gardens and it's looking really nice up there. So thanks, Jane, for getting it going and then finding the right people to keep it going maybe or
Yeah.
whatever. Not that you couldn't, but I mean, just it's good to have like people that I think people saw a change and then they were a little bit more willing to volunteer and to participate.
It's what community gardens are for, and I'm really,
Yeah.
really happy Christine and Dennis volunteered. I think it's because they're the gardeners,
Yeah.
right? We can provide all the kind of structural support, but they're the gardeners and they know what they need and what they
But
want.
it's nice, there's some great things that they've sent out about how to take care of things, what to
Yeah.
look for, what to do, how to do it. In so many words, not so direct, but all directive enough to give everybody better ideas about what they should be doing up there. So just I want to mention only because it's kind of become more successful and it's
Yeah, that's
so,
wonderful. That's wonderful.
That's all I have.
Christine is also on the tree commission, so she's very busy with the village.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things that grow.
That's the one other thing. I really want us all to maybe take a step back and reflect on how many excellent volunteers we have.
Yeah.
Because these are folks who are volunteering, obviously, time out of their very busy family lives, engaging in complicated matters and issues. And even though we may not like an outcome on a topic, they're doing the best they can, right? So a tree gets pruned wrong, so what? It's, or
Right.
the code comes and you don't like a section of it, that's okay, we can talk about that.
Right.
Yeah. That's okay. And the Parks Commission, they're gonna be coming forward, I think in a month, maybe July. But they're working really hard on putting together a mission statement, vision statement. They're really doing a great job. I'm impressed. I'm about ready to hire them. No, they're doing a great job. They want to bring all of that information to this board first before they tackle updating their parks master plan. So you'll see it all.
Are they working with a consultant?
No, this is on their own. They're doing a great job. A woman, Holly Daly, joined the Parks Commission and she has had experience in this visioning, goal setting, it's something I used to do all the time. In this arena, so she brought that skill set to the commission, which has been great.
All the saying is true, it takes a village. It takes not only the people that, work here, elected here, reside here and participate in things, but also most importantly, or as importantly, the volunteers like you just mentioned. So that's great. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
I